Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to your Steeler Nation podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises, part of the Big Play Vidcast network over here at YouTube. And the Cincinnati Bengals have choked the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow became Joe Exotic and got thrown in jail, not being able to do that last drive to win the game. And as we all see, Steeler fans, defense wins championships. And who better to do it than three-time former Defensive Player of the Year award winner Aaron Donald. Excellent play to seal out the Cincinnati Bengals and stop them from winning the Super Bowl. Now, one thing I really had to take from watching the Super Bowl, other than just the great talent on both sides of the ball for the Los Angeles Rams, is they essentially played Pittsburgh Steeler football and won a Super Bowl. They got after the quarterback, sacked Joe Burrow 7 times, and they could not establish the run. It looked like the Steelers' offense out there on the field, not being able to get a single decent gain out of the running game for the Rams the entire game. I mean, good thing that Cooper Kupp showed up. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. And it's strange, like just the way the Super Bowl kind of unfolded. It looked like Rams were going to run away with it early. Bengals, excellent job of coming back into that game, making it look like they were going to win it. And then Matt Stafford had a nice drive. They end with a minute and a half left on the clock, give the ball back to Joe Burrow. And just like every single game since the divisional round on, I was absolutely expecting Joe Burrow to drive them down the length of the field for a game-winning touchdown or a game-tying field goal. It's just the greatest postseason in history, in my opinion, that I've viewed game in, game out for the past 3 rounds, Super Bowl included. It's a great game. Now, just looking at the stats between Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford was 26 for 40, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 89.9 passer rating. Now, looking at those numbers, it's like, yeah, he got 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. I don't know if they're going to win that one. Joe Burrow was a little bit more accurate, 22 for 33, 263 yards, 20 less yards, 2 less touchdowns, and 2 less interceptions with 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 100.9 passer rating, but he was put on his butt 7 times, nearly put on his butt an 8th time with that great pressure by Aaron Donald coming down on him hardcore to force that incomplete pass that could not do it. Steeler Nation, chime in. We're live, guys. Anything you got to talk about, we are here for. Susan Carter, thank God they lost. TGTL. With you there, Susan. Well, you know, I personally wouldn't have minded if Cincinnati won. It's better if you live in the Ohio, Pittsburgh area that you don't have to deal with Bengals fans saying, we're the guys to beat now. But other than that, I like Mike Hilton. I think Mike Hilton deserves to be a Super Bowl champion. I like Chase. He's fun to watch. Joe Burrow, I don't hate the guy. I think he's the best quarterback in the division right now. So Steelers have an uphill battle to try to match the skill now as the offense of the Cincinnati Bengals is the one to deal with now in the AFC North. Cookster Vaughn, go Steelers. Thank you very much, Cookster. Great to hear from Facebook as always. What up, Stryker? Michael Scott joining in the house. Great to hear from you, my friend. Not enough. I hear you. I hear you, Cookster. I hear you. Rick Giddings, is Schobert good as gone? We have many holes that it is. Now, we just had an article come out today on SteelerNation.com. I believe Justin McGonigal wrote it. Go over there, SteelerNation.com. We have great articles, obviously. We were talking about it and chatting about it too, but he is Joe Schobert by far. They can make or save the most money against the cap just by cutting Joe Schobert. Joe Schobert, I believe, costs close to $9 million against the cap next year. If he's cut, the Steelers get $7.5 million of that back. So I told Justin, make sure when you write your article today, you either say Joe Schobert's getting cut or he's taking a pay cut, because that's the only way Joe Schobert's going to be on this team next year. He's too much money, too little production and splash plays. Yeah, sure, he was I believe second on our team or first on our team in tackles. Actually, I think I have that up. Where are my Pittsburgh Steelers stats here? I'll just check this out in a second. Coming down here. Where's my guy, Schobert? Schobert was second on the team in tackles. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 124. Schobert, 112. The only two players over 100 tackles this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you don't want to let up those tackles, to tell you the truth, but he's got to do something to show that he's willing to take a little bit of pay cut. If Steelers can recoup $3 to $4 million of that, I'm happy. I keep Schobert for that. But otherwise, that's going to be a tough shoe to fill. I'd rather have Spillane than Schobert in that respect, strictly from a cap purpose, with Spillane being in, I believe, an exclusive rights free agent, so he's stuck on the team no matter what. Mark Kane, how you doing, man? Everyone will want a quarterback like Burrow, so let's wait till the Steelers find one and build the team up in other areas. Well said. Completely agree with you, Mark. Completely agree with you. Let's get the offensive line set. Let's plug in those couple holes on defense, interior. Let's get another backup nose tackle. Let's get another left tackle, right? Because right tackle we know is Cam. We need inside linebackers. We need corners. A lot of shoes that might need a strong safety too. So we got a lot of holes to fill on defense. It's going to be a transition year. But let's do that first before, especially the offensive line. Let's build that offensive line before I get our franchise quarterback in there and get him murdered. Good thing we had Ben as our franchise quarterback, because he was getting sacked all the time when he first started off. But he's so big, he was able to shrug people off, throw them down to the side, 3 people around his ankles throwing dimes. That's Ben, man. We could get so lucky to have another guy like that, or have another elusive quarterback. I'm thinking that we're going to get a mobile quarterback. That's the way I'm thinking that Tomlin and the crew want to go. We see how they do it in Baltimore. We see how they do it in Kansas City and Buffalo. Let's get a mobile quarterback so we are converting these 3rd and 4th and shorts and not making it look like a comedy of errors most of the time. Cookster back again. Can we buy Joe Burrow? Unfortunately, I don't think the Bengals are selling. I would love to have Joe Burrow, but we'd have to be drafting at the top of the draft to get there. And only the Bengals and Browns get to pick at the top of the draft in our division. Our teams are just too good. We build good on the offensive, defensive lines and on defense, and that gives you 7 wins a season. It just does. Ian White, depends on how we draft this year, if it will be a tough rebuilding phase or not. Completely. And free agency, Ian. Free agency is going to be a big, big part of this team. I know I would really like Honey Badger to play strong safety next to Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's who I want at safety. I know I'm opinionated. A lot of people want Edmonds back. I don't. I think Edmonds shown me what he is. He's a guy. I want a guy out there making plays at strong safety. Carnell Lake, Troy Polamalu, Lethon Flowers, Myron Bell. All those guys could hit like freight trains, could force fumbles, could hit and tackle for losses. Look at Edmonds, man. Guy just doesn't have that head. He's not that aggressive tackler type. And I think that's what we need at strong safety. I don't care if we pick up a free agent, just as long as the free agent is a hole plugger, because that's what we need. We really need a strong safety to come down and help out in the running game, get those tackles, make us a lot better all the way around. That's just the way it's got to be. Cookster again, buying Joe will ensure the downfall of Cincinnati. I'd love that, but we can't afford him. He's locked into his rookie contract. Unfortunately, that's more of a pipe dream than being able to take Joe. But who would we have to offer Cincinnati that they would take for Joe Burrow? I mean, we'd have to give him somebody like T.J. Watt. I mean, if we're going to do like pipe dream trades, it would have to be T.J. Watt for Joe Burrow. Maybe Minkah Fitzpatrick for Joe Burrow. Like somebody that's on that elite level, still young, in their prime, somebody that it's a difference maker on a team. But there's no way we're giving up either of those guys. We love those guys. I mean, you tell me, Cookster, who would you rather have, Joe Burrow or TJ Watt? I know who I'd rather have, and we have him. Rick Giddings, I 100% feel we should avoid drafting a corner this year. Get the O-line anchored down, select a defensive back in the second, and get pieces in place before looking for a young quarterback. Completely agree, Rick. I completely agree. And I'm not against drafting a corner in the first round. That is if the proper corner falls to us. It looks like now I'm seeing some mock drafts where 5 quarterbacks are going in the first round. And I don't think any of the quarterbacks this season are first round worthy. Maybe Pickett, maybe Coral, maybe Malik. But I mean, we're saying maybes. I mean, this isn't like a lock-in year where you're like, oh, 3 quarterbacks are going in the top 10. It's not this season. We don't know where any of these quarterbacks are going. None of these guys are going to be the first pick of the draft. Will the first one get taken off the board at 3, 5? Who knows? This might be like the season when Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith got drafted. Alex Smith got drafted early. Aaron Rodgers dropped to the bottom of the first round, and Green Bay latched onto him there. They lucked out. They got their franchise, fell in their lap. I mean, it happens. I mean, I saw Johnny Manziel when he dropped in his draft. But, we thought he was overdrafted. We thought his potential was way lower than a lot of people gave him credit for. I saw him as like a 3rd rounder. But, people still wanted to move up the first round and grab him. Not me. Edmonds isn't the answer. Completely agree with you, Mark. I'm just not a fan of him. I know, Cookster. I heard sometimes. Not TJ Osborne. Yep, there we go. Now we're seeing eye to eye. I love those. Keep it coming, Cookster. Ian White, 100% agree. If we had another Polamalu at safety, would go good alongside Fitzpatrick. Also, another outside linebacker opposite TJ Watt and a good defensive tackle. Like, I'm telling you the truth. I like the way Highsmith has been projecting. I still don't think we need a replacement for Highsmith. And he was looking really good at the end of the season. He was getting sacks and bunches at the end of the season. So I'm not against jumping off the Highsmith train yet, but I am all for drafting outside linebacker depth if there's nobody there in free agency that we can pick up on the cheap that might hang out with us for 5 weeks before having to trade him away for a draft pick. Ingram. So we know how that goes. Evans, Villa, Vamong, whatever that means. That's fine. Thanks for joining in. Striker, Ben Brown. YouTube's chiming in. We're coming through on YouTube loud and clear. Bum rent. I don't know what these mean. But keep them coming, guys. Steeler Nation, if you got any questions, please let me know what they are. Free agency, draft, needs for the team. I'm going to be here till about 8 tonight. Then I'm going to be jumping on the Steeler Nation Spaces broadcast. We're going to do that at 8:30 tonight on the @Steeler Nation Twitter. And that's a lot of fun. That means you can show up there on Twitter, and instead of typing, you're talking with us on the air. And we're gonna hear your voice, and we're gonna answer your questions. And that's a lot of fun. That's it's not as much fun as I have here with you guys, but it is a lot of fun for a show. And we got a lot of the writers on there. Colton, who is also a podcast host as well of the Personal Foul podcast. He usually runs the show for us. I chime in, give my hot takes, short and sweet, have a good time. And you guys get to jump on and ask us questions. And it's so much freaking fun. So join us over on Twitter, immediately following this, @Steeler Nation, 8:30. And we'll get to hear you directly off there. And you get to hear more people's opinions than just mine. I'm a very opinionated guy. I don't take heat too badly. I let stuff roll off my back, but I like fun with it. Ian, back again. Do I think we stick with Bush at inside linebacker, or do we draft a new one? I'm all for drafting another inside linebacker. I am. But I think we stick with Bush for one more year. It looks like we are not going to offer him a 5th round option. So we're not going to tie down his salary for 2023 next year. He might be a free agent. We might franchise him if he has an insane year. That's always an option. Inside linebackers are cheaper than outside linebackers because they're not edge. Edge players are off the charts. Now, you've seen TJ Watt's contract. We can franchise an inside linebacker. That could work. So that's kind of like what we did with Edmonds. Edmonds and Fitzpatrick were both up for fifth-year options because they were both first-round draft picks. We had both of their contracts, even though we got the one through Miami with Fitzpatrick. We gave Fitzpatrick his fifth-round option at the beginning of last offseason. No-brainer. Edmonds, nah. Not going to give you a fifth-round option. We'll see how you do. We saw how he did. He's a guy. We didn't lock him in for next year because we didn't take the fifth-round option, but I don't think he's worth $8 million a year. Anybody here think Edmonds is worth $8 million a year? I'd rather pay a strong safety $8 million than pay Edmonds $8 million. A strong safety that can hit the hole, strong safety that can tackle, a strong safety that can force fumbles, a strong safety that can catch the damn ball. Give me a strong safety that can make plays on the football instead of tackling guys after they catch the ball in front of them. I'm done with Edmonds. I completely don't want him on the team at all. I may be alone in my opinion. I've been watching a lot of Steeler games, 40 some odd years of Steeler games. Edmonds just is not a Pittsburgh Steelers strong safety. I mean, geez. We'll go back to Donnie Shell. Come on. No way. No way. Larry Sculo, how you doing? Steeler Nation in the house. Do I think we could get Matt Ryan for the next 2 to 3 years? Would he fit in? Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. He is. But he's also part of the old quarterback regime. Matty Ice, cool as ice, has frozen feet. I don't like him in big games. I don't like him in the inability to move in the pocket. With our offensive line, we need a mobile quarterback. Matty Ice would be like having Ben Roethlisberger last year, except for he'd be slightly more mobile. Not my kind of quarterback. So we can talk more quarterbacks. I mean, I can run off a list of some that I like, but let's have you guys bring up the stuff first since this is our conversation. I'm having fun with this. Me personally, thank you very much, Larry. I appreciate you throwing Matt Ryan's name in the ring. For me personally, I am not excited about having Matt Ryan on my team and would not seek him out. Rick Giddings, McShay's newest mock has us trading with the Chargers at 17 to grab Malik Willis, costing us a third-rounder to do it. Now, to tell you the truth, I'm a big proponent this year of not trading up in the first round. I don't want to give up draft picks. However, once you start getting to a position where you're only going to give up 3 picks or give up 3 spots, I consider that, but I wouldn't give up a third-rounder to move up 3 spots. I give up a fourth-rounder. Steelers, geez, we have a third-rounder, but we're not getting that third-round compensation for Bud Dupree, it looks like. We might get a fourth-rounder for him now, which sucks. So, when you're rebuilding, you want your day 1 and your day 2 picks. This might be the first year we move back, honestly. If there's enough good guys, move back. A lot of good guys in the top of the second. A lot of them. A lot of good guys that can help our team immediately in the top of the second. Might not be quarterbacks, but that might be the Steelers' play. Everybody thinks we're going quarterback. Oh, shit. Steelers are on the clock. They're going to go quarterback. Oh, they want to trade back? Oh, we can get our quarterback. We got a quarterback. We're going to trade the Steelers. Give them next year's first 2. That's fine. Okay, we'll trade. We'll get that quarterback. Fine. That's how we do it. Don't run to the podium this year. We got other needs. Don't sprint so quick. Maybe our next GM won't sprint so quick, even though we have the Godfather. Coach, Colbert's going to be the GM for the draft. But don't get me wrong. When we hire another GM, he is probably going to be part of this entire process. We're going to probably be employing essentially 2 GMs throughout this entire process, which is going to be great because it gives them a learning curve to kind of see the way Kevin does things and then take their own spin on things as well. But a lot of things come down to the way the coaches, their ideals, how they want the offense to be. We know Rooney wants a running offense. We didn't get it this year, but we got our running back. So that's a plus. Even though we're still low in the running attack, we have a Pro Bowl running back. And that is a win. For the owner last year telling us to improve our rushing attack, we already have our workhorse, our non-fumbling workhorse, set in stone for next season, Najee Harris. Don't get me wrong, guys. Doesn't really matter it doesn't matter who our quarterback's going to be, but the offense is going to run through Najee Harris no matter what next year. So I want a quarterback that's mobile. I want a quarterback that does play action incredibly well. That's the most important two things that I want to see out of a quarterback, other than a very accurate passer. Can't teach accuracy. Strong arm doesn't mean as much to me. To me, it's accuracy, mobility, and decision-making. And Pat Mahomes is the best at it. And I love what Josh Allen does, too, up there in Buffalo. Those two guys are the best at mobility, decision-making, and accuracy. That's the type of quarterback I want. Mark Kane, Bush, not the answer either. Need a bigger size in the middle, run stop, and short pass drop. Though, Mark, I mean, I don't know what happened to Bush. His rookie year, he came out on fire. On making splash plays, creating turnovers. First 10 weeks of the season, 12 weeks, he was a monster. He made us look like geniuses for moving up to the top 10 to snag him. But since then, and with the injury, he just has not been the same guy. So you can't tell me it's his size, because he was even smaller when he was a rookie, making those splash plays, cutting through the A-gaps, killing people in the backfield as they're getting the football handed to them. That was the guy that we had. He's still in there somewhere. I hope we can find him one more time. I really do, because I would love to root for him again. I really would. Derek Lohr, what about drafting defensive tackle? Are there any good players to look at? I haven't gotten deep at defensive tackle in the draft yet. I know we wouldn't draft, essentially for the Steelers, a defensive tackle is a nose tackle, because we usually have a 0 to 3 technique. A 0 is lined up straight in the middle of the field on the center. 3, so 0, 1 is the gap between the center. Then 2 is straight up on the guard, and 3 is between the guard and the tackle. That, between the guards, so 0 to 2, that's where our nose tackle plays. So if you're talking about drafting a defensive tackle, we're talking about a nose tackle that plays between those two spots. Now, if you're talking about an end, like Tuitt, like Hayward, that's a 3 to 5 tech, lining up outside the guard to the outside of the tackle. That's where those guys line up in our system. So we're not going to take a tackle, somebody that plays the interior between the twos. We're not going to take that guy in the first 2 days. First 3 rounds, no way. Day 3 pick, I will consider it a tackle. I definitely will. Though I would take a 3 to 5 tech or 3 to 7 tech. Get me if we find another guy that's up there along the lines of Hayward that falls to us, or a Tuitt type, because we don't know if Tuitt's playing for us next year. That's the biggest question mark of this team for next year. Hell, he never came back this year. Steelers were too quiet about that guy and never gave us an explanation. I do not like that, because it's the first time we've ever gone through an entire season that we've never gotten an explanation on why a player never came back, and never got an explanation why he didn't come back this season. They never wrote him off, and we never got that full story. Is it mental? Was it his brother dying? Which, I can feel that. I honestly understand that completely. But is it his knee that he took a surgery on? I don't know. But it's just been too weird. And that might be a position we have to replace. Brian Brown! I thought I saw the crying Bengals lady on TV, but my friend said, no, that's Joe Burrow's mom. Well played, Brian Brown. Well played. Why does Joe Burrow's mom look like the crying Bengals lady? Because she had to cry. Oh, did Joe Burrow look like the crying Bengals lady? I don't know. When I was younger, I'm way into watching every single second after the Super Bowl, seeing what's going on. But I had to drive home. I've got a kid in third grade that I had to get her back so she can go to bed at 10 o'clock. So I'm hopping in the car as soon as the game's over. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see this stuff, but I always see tears on both sides of the football. That's just the way it goes on Super Bowl Sunday. Cookster back again. Who do I think is the best person to replace Ben then? Well, we've got a lot of options, Cookster. I mean, I don't see the Steelers trading draft picks to get a quarterback. So these guys that we're hearing that are not happy in their situations, unless they're released from their teams, and I will name all those guys right now. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, the guy down in frickin' Houston. Why do I always forget that guy's name? I always want to say Hopkins, but that's the receiver. Not him. But the guy that didn't play this year because of all his problems. And Carson Wentz. I think one of those guys might get dropped. We're in Garoppolo now, too, getting his name thrown out there as possibly being a guy that they're looking to get rid of. Like, Carr is a guy that they're talking about moving now. We're getting to a point now where nobody's happy with their quarterbacks anymore. So, wouldn't give up a draft pick to get any one of those guys, but I would be intrigued if any of those guys were cut. I would be interested in picking them up as a free agent. I would. Though the free agent quarterbacks that are already available, that are going to be free agents, Jameis Winston's my guy. If you haven't heard me before, I'm a big Jameis Winston guy. I think Jameis Winston's finally gotten it. He had New Orleans in a situation where they were poised to be the talk of the town for Super Bowl. They were leading their division before he went down. 14 touchdowns, additional rushing touchdown, only 3 interceptions. In 7 wins. I mean, the guy was awesome. Absolutely awesome. He turned the corner from his 30 interception season. He looks like an NFL quarterback. That's the guy I want. Teddy Bridgewater is also a guy people throw around. Marcus Mariota. I know people at Steeler Nation, somebody wrote an article over at Steeler Nation. Go read that as well. But if I got to pick one, my choice, if it's not on my roster already, because if I got to pick my roster already, I'm going Haskins. I take Haskins over Rudolph because he's got a higher ceiling. But that's the way it rolls for me. You guys can disagree. Tell me your guys. Tell me your options because I love to hear them. Mark Kane, defense style may have to change because of quick, fast, pass-happy league right now. Especially with our division, Mark. That's a great point. We're going up against Joe Burrow and 8 rostered wide receivers. 8. The Steelers roster, how many wide receivers? 5. 5 wide receivers. Sometimes 6. 5. And that's only if one of those 5 is like an insane special teams player. 5 wide receivers. They have 8. And we have to defend against those 8 wide receivers and an excellent quarterback. So, yes, our secondary needs to be a ton better. Bringing back Edmonds does not make that secondary any better. In my opinion, it makes it worse. We all know how he covers. That's how he covers. He's like catching butterflies or something out there. I don't know what the hell he's doing out there. But I don't want him on my team anymore. Brian Brown, I do. Fans in 72. Hell yeah, Cookster. I was born in 74, so I was alive for all the Super Bowls. Didn't get to cheer for them all until about 1980. But that's great. We love fans of all ages here. We take them all. We all have the same problem. We all love the Pittsburgh Steelers. Michael Hall, throw away Edmonds. Hello, Tyrann Mathieu. There we go. We're starting it. We started on my vidcast. We started on my podcast, on our spaces over on Twitter. I am pimping hard. Give me Tyrann Mathieu next to Minkah Fitzpatrick. And that already, I don't care who our corners are. Already, that is a dangerous defense. Doesn't matter who our corners are. Sutton can hold it down. Witherspoon we can bring back. Hayden Aging we can bring back. That's what I want. Edmonds had a good year. He's like Dupree, just need a little time. Yeah, and you're right, Brian. Like, he improved over time, but he still never became that player that could make splash plays. Couldn't get those interceptions. Couldn't force fumbles. Couldn't tackle for a loss. That's my problem with Edmonds. That's my personal, like, Dupree, he was awesome against the run. Great run defender. Lots of tackles for loss, both in the running game and sacking the quarterback, which he became an excellent sacker. And he became a viable pass defender. So he was a big-bodied dude. I liked the way Dupree progressed more than Edmonds, but Edmonds did improve over time. But to me, he didn't improve the way a first-rounder should improve over time. He was just a guy. He's a football player. He's a starter in the league. He's just not going to make splash plays for our team. He's just not. Michael Scott Joyner, I really wish we could have picked up Minkah Or Munchak, sorry. Munchak as our offensive line coach. And I'm with you too, Michael. Because that was another topic I wanted to talk about a little bit today. And that is the actual guy that we hired. Pat Meyer is now our new offensive line coach. Don't know a whole lot about the guy. I've done some reading up on him, other than he's been in a couple different systems here in the NFL, most recently with the Carolina Panthers. He was also with the Chargers, I believe. But the guy is an aggressive-minded coach. He wants you to attack the defender that's coming at you, and he wants you to enforce your will as opposed to playing defense the whole time and pass protect. He wants you to be aggressive in pass protection. So that's an interesting thing. That's something we've never had. We've never tried the aggressive stance in pass protection. We've always been more of like, let's drop back, let's bring everybody around and try not to get beat by these spin moves, which we do, especially with young guys. But I like a coach like that, some guy that's going to teach more individual hand techniques as opposed to using both hands to block in tandem that can get knocked down. Individual hand technique, you get into one knockdown, you can still get the other. That's what we need, a little bit more training with these young guys. Dotson in his second year, Green more in their second year. Second year's Dotson in his third year, second year as a starter. All of them in their second years as starters. He's got this whole line to mold. Plus, we're going to be bringing somebody in, if not two, if not another tackle too. So this is his line to mold. I'm interested to see what it's going to be like. I would have rather had Munchak as well, but we don't know if Munchak just still wants to be in the Denver area. We don't even know if he's going to take a job. So we'll have to watch to see where he goes. He wants to stay close to Denver because his family's in Denver. He moved there because his grandchild, I don't remember, grandson or granddaughter, was born. They live in Denver. So he wanted to live there locally, and that's why he left our team. So I don't know if he's ready to retire. He might be done with football. We don't know. Or he might stay on Denver's staff with their new coach. We'll have to see. Brian Brown, how about just going with Mason Rudolph, fixing the other holes in the draft, get a run game and run play action and move the ball? I got no problem with that, Brian Brown. I really don't. I don't have a problem if it's whether it's Rudolph or Haskins. I don't. And, I've seen Rudolph move the football in Canada's system. He did in the Detroit game. I thought he played good enough to win that game. We had 2 bad turnovers after the passes were caught in overtime that made it so we tied that game. He made the plays to get us to a point to win it. We just didn't win it. So, I'm for it. I think we can win. I think we can win. We have to rely a lot more on our defense with these guys, but I'm interested to see how they're going to do next year with the competition. It's going to be a fight. It's definitely going to be a fight no matter who it is. Ian White, I agree, Stryker. While you're right about the defense, a good corner we need as well. But Juju is a free agent, so I think we will need a wide receiver as well as O-line. I wish we could have the 1-2 punch we had for the 2006 Super Bowl year at running back. We had a power back with Bettis and the outside rusher, Fast Willie Parker. Of course you do. Longest run in Super Bowl history, right here in this picture. That's the run. Longest run in Super Bowl history, Fast Willie Parker. Great call. Yeah, I like the Thunder and Lightning too. I would like somebody to compliment Najee Harris. I thought we had it in McFadden. McFadden got hurt. He was supposed to be the backup. He never ended up being the backup. So we didn't have that second punch. But you're damn right, because the Steelers right now, our returning receivers, our current roster receivers for next season, Pro Bowler Deontay Johnson and up-and-comer Chase Claypool. They're the only 2 rostered. Washington's a free agent. Ray's a free agent. Juju's a free agent. So yeah, we're gonna need wide receivers. And honestly, as much as I'd love to have Juju Smith-Schuster on our team, I just don't think it's good value. If we're rebuilding, we got to put that money somewhere else. We got to start drafting some more receivers. If somebody falls insanely like Chase kind of caliber, who knows? We might take one the first pick. I wouldn't be against it. Otherwise, we got our 2 outside guys already locked in at the X receiver with Deontay and the Z receiver with Claypool. We just need a Y receiver, an R receiver, a slot receiver. Slot receivers you can find on day 3. That's the best part about slot receivers. You do not have to overdraft slot receivers. You find great ones day 3. So I think we'll hopefully be looking for these diamonds in the rough, some 5th rounders, 6th rounders, bring some guys in, and hopefully make the grade. And I also look for us to do what we used to do in the past. Bring in a free agent wide receiver. That's probably going to happen this year. So we'll have to see who we bring in, though. It'll be interesting. Brian Brown, Najee is like a cross between Franco Harris and the bus. If the Steelers can improve the run blocking, Najee can thrive, and the Steelers shouldn't miss a beat. He did it without run blocking. He was the 4th best rusher in the league as a rookie without an offensive line. Insane. Didn't fumble once. Man, I love that guy too, Brian. Well said, my friend. Well said. He's different. Like, I don't think he hits as hard in the hole as the bus. Franco Harris is an all-around awesome athlete. Najee Harris is also an all-around awesome athlete. I might have to think that Najee Harris might be a better pass catcher than Franco Harris. Still not better than Bell yet, but he's getting there. He was better his rookie year as a receiver than Bell was his rookie year as a receiver. Can he still build on it? Can he get close to 100 catches in a year? I think he can, especially if we're going to go with the Najee Harris offense, which is going to happen next year. That's going to be the way it goes. Cookster, Russell Wilson. Yep, from all of the guys that are currently under contract that may get released, he's my number 1. I agree with you 100% there. I love the way that guy leads teams. Smart guy, accurate as hell, can make every throw, and is mobile enough to extend plays. Love me some Russell Wilson. I absolutely do. Plus, he's younger. I don't want to give draft picks for a guy I'm only going to have for a year, maybe 2, like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers like Ben's age. No thanks. No thanks. Tyrod Taylor. Wouldn't be against Tyrod Taylor. That's a good name. That's a mobile quarterback. Fairly accurate. Makes decent decisions. Was never really given the option, but he's a great play action quarterback. He can run the option. I'd be fine with Tyrod. That's a good option, Brian. That's one that a lot of people aren't talking about either. Brian Brown, we don't need 30 interceptions unless the defense gets them. Truth. Truth. But that was 2 years ago. And also, you got to remember, Peyton Manning had a 30 interception season too. He ended up being a Hall of Famer. It's tough to find quarterbacks that can throw 30 touchdowns. And that's something that I think Ben's only done it twice. Wilson's already done it. Cookster, only season I missed was after Katrina. I didn't have power. Oh, my Lord. Oh, bless your heart. Well, that local team down there for Katrina won it. If you missed out, that was this New Orleans team that ended up winning that one. So power to them. Brian Brown, why do people want guys like Mariota or Trubisky? Are they going to be magically get good? I doubt it. And I'm with you, Brian. I don't want a project first-round draft pick. A guy that was picked early in the first round. You take a flyer on the guy. You see what he has in the tank. You know he has the talent because he had it in college. But we already have that guy on the roster. That guy's Dwayne Haskins. And I've been saying that consistently on all these podcasts and vidcasts. Dwayne Haskins is already our project quarterback. So I would not want to go out and get a Trubisky or a Mariota because we already have that guy on our roster. We already do. So give me somebody either established, brings in somebody that's going to be competition, or somebody that's already a starter in the league. That's what I want to see. Not somebody else's project. We got a project guy ourselves. Kevin, the Elder God. If we have to focus on a big signing on offensive line or defensive line, if Tuitt's gone, which would you prefer? Well, if Tuitt's gone, defensive line is a major need. Wormley is good. Tuitt's great. We need a great left defensive end. I mean, and it's insane that T.J. Watt was still able to break the sack record coming over top of people like Wormley, coming over top of guys like Loudermilk when Wormley was out, a rookie, and still breaking the league record for sacks. I mean, that's amazing. So load up on defense. LA just shown you can win just with a pass rush in a Super Bowl. And they did. That's what you need. That's what I always want, at least. I'm a huge Virginia Tech fan, so I'm biased, of course. Nothing wrong with that, Brian. Nothing wrong with that. Aaron Harris. I got high hopes for Norwood. I do too, Aaron. I do too. And I was trying to look up, and this is just something that I do stupid things and look up stupid things because I'm a stats guy. I'm a stats nerd. I'm a Steelers stats nerd. And I wanted to check out how well Hilton did for the Cincinnati Bengals on defense this season for them. He did pretty damn well. He ended up being 5th on their team in tackles with 66. 8 of them were for losses. So, other than the 3 defensive linemen that had 12 tackles for losses, he led every linebacker and every secondary player with tackles for losses. That's a tough thing to replace. That really is. So, he also added a forced fumble, 5 passes defensed, and 2 interceptions. Great season. Phenomenal season out of a nickel corner who makes splash plays. Didn't get a sack this season, but not holding that against him. He still gets quarterback pressure. He had 2 quarterback hits. So the guy is there. The guy's a good player. But on our team, I was looking at guys like Norwood and Mallett. But I guess when you're trying to compare the both of them, we kind of had to replace Norwood and Mallett. Both ended up replacing Hilton. So tackle-wise, they did well, 47 and 38. That's more than his total tackles. 5 tackles for loss for Mallett, 2 for Norwood. That's 7 to 8. Still pretty close. Arthur Mallett, 2 quarterback hits. Tied the 2 for Hilton. No sacks on it for either. Both had a forced fumble. Mallett had a forced fumble. Combined, Mallett with 1 pass defense, Norwood with 4 pass defense. That gave us 5. That ties the production from Hilton. So it took 2 guys to fit the production that we got out of Mike Hilton. So that's the way we have to see it. And I'm with you too, Aaron. I think Norwood's only going to get better. And it's about time one of our 7th round draft picks that we took a flyer on for the secondary finally pans out. I would love to see him be a good role player for this team. Excellent, excellent point. Love it. Aaron Harris back again. By the way, hello. Great podcast. Thank you so much, Aaron. I do this for you. This is your vidcast, guys. My podcast ends up going on DK Pittsburgh Sports. We usually release on Fridays over at DK right around 6 o'clock, I believe, is when we premiere the video. And then you can always download it straight from from DK Pittsburgh Sports as well on the Steelers page. You'll see my face with my fedora in cartoon form, nice beard. Click on it. You get to hear my thoughts for each week. So you're doing it again this week, obviously. Michael Hall. I hope Stephen Tuitt is doing okay outside of football and with his family, and I hope he returns with us next season. But if he doesn't, I would sign Calais Campbell or Davian Clowney to replace him. I'd love Clowney. Give me a splash play guy. Clowney's my guy. Campbell's a little older. Campbell plays more inside. He fit more as a nose, I think, on our team. And that's kind of where he played for the Ravens. But, yeah, I agree with you. Still 2 great names. I'd be very high on Clowney. Would love to see Clowney over here. Steelers wide receiver core will be fine. Not worried about it. I'm with you, Brown. That they need wide receivers. They've only got 2 under contract. Probably going to bring back Ray in free agency too, but got to probably bring in somebody new too in free agency. That's going to be an interesting pull. Michael Hall, sign Adams if Rodgers leaves Green Bay, or get either Hilton or AJ Green from free agency. Oh, you mean Hilton the corner or the slot corner because he's not available? T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton. I thought he retired. Same thing with AJ Green. I thought he retired. I thought both of them retired. But I love those. I love both of those players. That they big body, great hands, receivers. If you're going to be a good hands receiver, guy that what I mean, great hand placement, doesn't drop the football, makes athletic plays with those great hands. Those are 2 guys, great guys to have on the team. I love myself some Larry Fitzgerald as well. One of the best to ever do it. Ian White, do I think that they could talk AB into coming back for one last season? No. He's burned his bridge in Pittsburgh, burned his bridge in Kansas City, burned his bridge in Tampa Bay, burned his bridge in Las Vegas, burn his bridge in New England. There's 5 teams right now that will not take Antonio Brown, and they're all teams that have had him play for him. So that's had a ripple effect across the league. I will be surprised if he finds a place to go. Kevin the Elder God, the Tyrod curse blessing future franchise confirmed after Tyrod gets hurt. Yeah, I'd hate to see that. I'd hate to see that. Poor Tyrod, man. He can't catch a break with those injuries. Brian Brown, I'd be good with Haskins if he can beat out Mason. Me too. Yeah. And too, Brian, like, I thought he nearly played as good as Rudolph in his first season trying to learn the offense, where it's already been 3 for Mason, going on 4 now. So seeing him already knowing the offense going up against him, I think that's going to make for really good competition. Love the thank you, Cookster. Thank you. I stopped coloring it. Now I show my age. Lathon Ellis, who are untouchables when it comes to tradable assets for another player? TJ, untouchable. Hayward, untouchable. DJ, I will not move DJ Johnson at all. I think he's an amazing receiver. Claypool, I consider. Right now, I don't want to get rid of Freiermuth. I like him a lot. I think that's pretty much it. I got to run up quick. My computer's going to die. I'm going to run and grab my cat. Give me a couple more questions and time me. I'll be back in 20 seconds. Only here, Steeler Nation. The only vidcast that'll forget to charge his computer before it starts. Sprinting upstairs, across the house, getting back in 20 seconds. And I'm still not winded because I'm a hockey player. That's how it goes, guys. So those are my biggest untouchables on defense. TJ would be tough. Somebody gave me enough of an offer for the other linebackers that I have to consider it. Minka, I wouldn't. No way I'm leaving Minka. So those are the only guys. Great question, Lathan. Love it. Sorry about that, guys. Antonio Brown needs therapy. I think he got hit in the head too much. Yeah, I feel bad for him. To tell you the truth, I honestly think he's got severe CTE. He can't make rational decisions. He can't control his emotions. These are all parts of CTE, and it's going to end tragically for the guy. It really is. And if he has CTE, you can't get better from it. It's degenerative. You get worse. So prayers to him, safety of his family, safety of him. That's all I can do. Brian Brown, if we get Clowney, the Steelers will have to wash him in tomato juice to get the brown stench off of him. Yeah, but honestly, we already have Schobert on the team. We washed him by sticking him down in Jacksonville for a couple runs down that that washboard. But yeah, it worked out. It worked out. Najee. We love us some Najee. Yes, we do, Aaron. And Harris. Aaron Harris. Love that last name, man. 2 great. Do you have both great Harris jerseys? Because you should. That's awesome. I love that, Aaron. Ian White. What would it take for us to get Matthew if we could? He's a free agent. Money. That's what it'll take. So let's get some money out there. So cost-wise, let me jump over here on Spotrac quick while we're talking. Because I have it bookmarked. This is what I do. I keep everything on a bookmark. That way it's easier to find things. But Spotrac does a neat thing. They like to give you the idea of what somebody's worth in free agency. So now that we're hitting free agency with the safeties, I want to see what they're saying for all positions. Let's go down to safeties. We'll do all safeties and we'll update this. And they are going to project him to be the top safety at $14 million a season as his market value is what they're stating. So I think that's a bit high for him. he would probably want close to there. That's probably what we're going to have to be paying, and we're probably going to be giving Minka a new contract this year as well. Now, I've seen these statements for the way that they list people. People don't always go for these market value numbers, but it's a number. But for safety, usually rule of thumb is going to be 10 to 12 million. If we want to bring in a great safety, that's what we're going to have to do. Quadri Diggs is available. There's a guy. How old is he? He's 29. I like Quadri Diggs. He'd be 6.2 million. I think Quadri Diggs is better than Terrell Edmunds. So Terrell Edmunds, just so you know, Steeler Nation, they have Terrell Edmunds listed as a free agent value, $2.6 million. That's all you have to say. That's all you have to tell me about Terrell Edmunds. He's not a great safety. He's not going to get money. We might bring him back because that's cheap. But I'd rather have Keanu Neal than him. How are we doing on sacks? How are we doing on tackles? How are we doing on interceptions and forced fumbles? Quadri Diggs led all these guys with 5 interceptions. That's why I like Quadri. But I think he's more of he's a strong safety. So, and they state Tyrann Mathieu as a free safety, but I've seen him play strong as well. That's interesting. Quadri Diggs, $6 million. I'd rather have him at $6 million than Terrell Edmunds at 2.6. No question about it. That's my call. So yes. Now that we've looked it up, that's where I hit. Exactly. Thanks, Cookster. Brian Brown, do I think the Steelers will draft a center 2 years in a row? It could happen. Crazier things have happened, Brian Brown. And if we do, we're going to have to move Green. And we'd move Green to guard. And Green is a starting lineman in this league. Whether he's playing center, whether he's playing guard. And for me, the more centers on the team, the better. You can teach centers to play guard a lot easier than you teach guards to play center. But we taught our guy pretty damn well. He did a pretty decent job for his first year ever snapping a football. Did it at the pro level. He can get better. Dorois Fitzberg, Vorad, whatever that is. Welcome to the show. Aaron Harris, Franco Najee, and my cousin played for the Steelers too. Oh, and awesome. That's awesome, Harris. Great to hear that. Tough Harris. So you got all the jerseys. That's great. That is great. Michael Hall. Najee had a pretty good rookie season. First ever Pro Bowl. Congrats to him. I see him upgrading himself. Video game reference to faster and stronger in the future. And I love Freiermuth. I do too, man. I couldn't have been happier. And this is something that I put in perspective on the Spaces conversation that we had last week. We are not going to find a better running back than Najee Harris in this entire draft. Tell me, no single running back in this draft is going to be better than Najee Harris. We already got our guy. We wouldn't have found a better tight end, all-around tight end, than we would with Freiermuth. And we've been looking for an all-around tight end ever since we got rid of Heath Miller. We got our guy in the second round. Done. Now all we got to do is find linemen. Linemen are easier to find. It's tougher to find good skill players that you can rely on. Those are two guys that I think we're going to build our team around. Really do. Really do. Love both those guys. Great call there, Michael Hall. Brian Brown, I was watching Pat Freiermuth interview today. I realized he looks like a chipmunk. The man's face is literally wider than the top of his head. I never looked. Now I'm going to not be able to unsee that. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian, for giving me that. That's going to be amazing. I want to look up the wide receivers here quickly while we're talking free agent wide, because that's my position. That's what I played in high school. I played flag in college. I actually played center eligible, and nobody could keep up with me because I could snap between my legs, and you couldn't line up on the center. So always got big guys going out for me. So I was leading our team in receptions and yardage from the center position. It was super fun. But let's see who the wide receivers are and who they stay at the top one. Allen Robinson, 17 mil. He's already out of our price range. Same thing with Chris Godwin at 15, though I do like Chris. Devontae Adams at 14.5. Now you're starting to talk about a little bit more value, a little bit more bang for the buck, to tell you the truth. If you can get him down to 12, I'd love to take Davante Adams. I know we've been mentioning him here on the show. 11 touchdowns, 1,500 yards, 123 receptions. That guy should be the top receiver here on the board, but they got Allen Robinson at number 1, followed by Chris Godwin at number 2. Interesting. Then Will Fuller, Jamison Crowder, then T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton at $8 million is good value. He didn't put up the numbers last year that he normally does, 331 yards, 3 touchdowns. We know what the guy's capable of. Juju Smith-Schuster's also looking to go at about $8 million. His numbers were down last year as well, 129 yards. Of course, getting hurt early in the season did not help. He only played in 5 games. Emmanuel Sanders is another guy to consider. He's there. I love A.J. Green, and A.J. Green actually did do some decent damage last year. 848 yards, 3 touchdowns, played in 16 games. That's not a bad option either. I know somebody mentioned that earlier in the vidcast. I could get behind that. Now, after that, you start talking about, who are you going to find at value? Mike Williams is good value. He's 27 years old. He had 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns last season, and they're only projecting him to be $5 million. That's a guy I'd bring in. I'd rather have Mike Williams on the team than Ray. And it's going to be about the same. Maybe if they're going off these numbers, maybe a $2 million difference between him and Ray McCloud. I'd take Mike Williams. I really would. That's a great value there, to tell you the truth. If that's what he's going to be going for. Deshaun Jackson, Danny Amendola. You got just a bunch of guys that used to be good. Christian Kirk put up 982 yards, had 5 touchdowns. He's projected to be 1.4 mil. What the hell? Odell Beckham is projected to be 1.25 million. I don't think that's right. Marquise Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin, 1.2 million. These are some decent receivers. But Beckham can make plays. If he's at that price, I take him. But I don't know if he's going to be at that price. At 1.2 seems awfully low for Odell Beckham Jr. At 29 years old, going into should be some productive years with a good quarterback. James Washington is projected to be 1.1 million, just so you guys know. Ray McCloud is projected to be a cool 1 million, so maybe he is a better value. We'll have to see. But let me know if you guys have any receivers that you'd like to see as well. It was interesting just to go down that list quickly. Yeah, and you saw it too there, Sam Robinson. How about Will Fuller? Yeah, I saw Will Fuller on this list as well. He is listed at just right behind Davante Adams at 10.6. Now, of course, he's coming off an injury-slammed year. He's young. He's not even 28 yet, but he only played in 2 games. So it's essentially like, who would you rather have on the team, Will Fuller or Juju Smith-Schuster? Because that's about the same price range. I think Juju gives you more than Will Fuller would. So to me, if I was going to give that choice, I'd probably go toward Juju. I love Muth, by the way. Just call it like I see it. Great call. That's a great call, Brian. What do we have for the cap? 40 million. What do we need? Yeah, we're going to have about that, but still, I don't think our rollover has happened yet. And of course, the cap has not been solidified yet. It's still a loose cap. I don't get too much into the numbers cap. All I know is we have a crap ton. Close to 40 is a good number to start off. That's a good launching point. And that's way more money than we've ever had. We can make a couple moves. We were just talking earlier today. Our cap guy over at SteelerNation.com on the text chain, he said we can make a couple moves and we can get to like 80 million under the cap. And I'm like, wow. I don't think that's going to happen. Obviously, we're going to have to make some plays. We're going to have to sign Fitzpatrick is going to have to get a new contract this season. That's going to be a big contract too. So other than those guys, and we're going to start taking that hit on TJ's contract next year too. So big money coming off and being part of that. Ian White, yeah, I agree, Striker. I like your choices on our team. Lol. In past drafts, we have gone 50% defense, 50% offense. If we can get some great picks, I think we will be all right. And that's what we do, Ian. You're right. We build our team through the draft. All of our best players, we drafted, other than Minka, because they were dumb enough to give us their draft pick for nothing. With only 1 season or one full season accrued in the NFL on his rookie contract as a first round. That was a no-brainer to give up first-round draft pick for that guy. That was a no-brainer. It's so rare to find that type of contract that earlier in their career. It's rare, too, to have freaking Haskins on our team that was dumped after his second season. Been drafted 15th in the draft. Dumped after 2 years. You never hear a highly drafted in the top 20 quarterback getting dumped after 2 seasons. But Washington's a shit show. Nothing surprises me over there. Nothing surprises me over there. Ron Chismar! I would be happy with Hilton if we don't re-sign Juju. I would too. And A.J. Green. But though A.J. Green's more outside, Hilton was that big slot. Juju was the big slot. Hilton is more like an outside guy too, because that's what the things we have to start thinking about is where are these guys going to play. I love A.J. Green, but I don't. He's not a slot. I love Hilton. He's not a slot. Mike Williams, I could put him in the slot. Amendola, I could put in the slot, but I think he's too old by now. I don't think he's going to be productive anymore. I could put Emmanuel Sanders in the slot. That's a guy I'd love to have in the slot. $6 million? Yeah. That might be my favorite guy on the board. Guy we drafted. Bring him back. Yeah, let's do it. And congratulations, too, for number 500 for Sid the Kid. Hell yeah. That was a great moment last night. Ron, again, what do you think about signing Armstead to a big contract and move Dan Moore Jr. to right tackle? I have not thought about it, but I would be fine with bringing in a tackle. I wanted Banner. I don't know what happened with Banner this year other than he got injured and was never able to reclaim. Chooks is Chooks. He's a guy, but he wasn't bad. He wasn't a liability. But, yeah, we could do better if we had a guy like Armstead. We definitely could. I don't know how well Dan Moore projects to being a right tackle, but he did fine as a left tackle. He did fine against some great edge players, especially the guy over there in Cleveland, the other guy that finished behind our guy in the voting for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know why I'm getting a mental block for that dude. The guy that brained Mason Rudolph with his own helmet. That guy. Yeah. Yeah, he held his own pretty well against that guy. Michael Hall, I love to see your live streams, and always, Stryker. See you next one. See you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers. #Renegade. Love it. And guys, I will be on the Steeler Nation @Steeler Nation Twitter Spaces right here in 25 short minutes. We're going live at 8:30 with all of the writers. A lot of the writers come over, some of the owners and stuff. We'll have our draft guru there. I'll be there. And Colton Gesser, who also runs the Personal Foul podcast and is also a contributor over at Steeler Nation, he'll be hosting. So come join us over there, and you get to talk. We don't just get to read it and see your words and your fun, awesome emojis. You get to say it. We get to hear what you say. We get to hear the passion in your voice. So come on over there and talk to us at these Twitter Spaces @Steeler Nation on Twitter, 8:30. Come join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Sam Robinson, to be honest, I would love to keep James Washington. Give him more snaps. He has great hands. I wish he could play the slot. I really do. And I do like his hands. I love the way he blocks, Sam. I really do. The problem with Washington, in my opinion, he can't separate in the NFL. Every catch is a contested catch for that guy. And yeah, he's a big-bodied guy, and he makes some good catches with it, but he just can't get open. That's the problem that we have with Washington. We tried playing Washington at the X spot, which is where Deontay Johnson plays, for the Cincinnati game, which is the only game that Deontay Johnson missed last season. And Washington looked horrible in that game because he was supposed to get all the targets. He couldn't get open. He can't get open in the short term. He can only get open deep if he gets a lot of time. Really, that's it. Ian White, should we take a taller wide receiver like we had in Burris years ago? Well, we already have that guy with Claypool. He's already on the roster. DJ's already locked in. I do like the big slot option that we had with Juju. If we can find another guy in the draft that fits that mold, that's a possibility. But we don't need a Burris guy on the outside because, honestly, Claypool's about that size. He is. He's a pretty big dude. So, we already got our size guy out there. He's just got to make plays for us. Cookster, thank you. Love your energy. Oh, cheers. Thank you for coming over and contributing to the show, Cookster. Yeah, you're all over this podcast. MVP for chiming in. Love that. Love that. So don't be a stranger. We usually do Tuesday nights at 7. I had to help my brother move yesterday, so I tweeted out we were doing Wednesday. I'm glad you saw it across and came on and contributed so much because this is what we do. We love to talk. So Awesome. Awesome to have you aboard, Cookster. Aaron Harris, let's get Cam's little brother. I know. I've been thinking about that too, Aaron. And I'm like, the only way we would ever get rid of TJ Watt's brother, fullback, is if we pick up Cam Hayward's brother in the draft, because he's a fullback. So we'd have to get rid of one for the other one. It's kind of not the right year. This is kind of like the last year for him, but Derek Watt could be a cap casualty if that's the way this team wants to go. And I just wish that we used our damn fullback, to tell you the truth. It's been an absolute travesty that we barely get TJ Watt or Derek Watt, DJ Watt. He is Derek John. DJ Watt on the field. Got to get him on the field more. Got to get the fullbacks on the field more, especially now with this power running attack that we're going to have. It's got to be part of it. Really has to be more of a part of it. Let's get TJ Watt's big brother, JJ. I would love that. I would love to have JJ on one side and a Cam on the other, and JJ and TJ would be coming right up the same lane on the left. How awesome would that be? I would absolutely love that. You would have no happier person other than the Watt brothers to be playing with each other. I'd love to have all three of them on the team. And I actually did, before the season started last year, I was trying to promote a trade before I even knew anything was wrong with Tuitt. I said, let's give up Tuitt for J.J. Watt, because they were both about the same amount that you had to pay for. Both of them ended up not being able to finish the season. I guess J.J. came back for the playoffs, which is freaking Watt. You can't count a Watt out. Those guys are just inhuman. Inhuman. Nothing hurts them. They just win Defensive Player of the Year awards. I can't wait to see their fullback kill people, but great call. And I'm with you there, Lathan. Love it. Yes. Love JJ. Yeah, Cookster. That's great. And guys, like I said, that's all the time we have right now. Get in your last comments. I'll throw them out here right at the end, but I'm going to start reading off my sign-offs. Go check out our sponsor, Total Sports Enterprises, at tseshop.com. Lots of awesome signed Steelers, Penguins, Pirates merch, some cool stuff. Go find gifts, tseshop.com. We're always giving away signed jerseys on their Twitter site too, so make sure you're following them too. Total Sports Enterprises on Twitter. Our vidcast is 7 o'clock on Tuesdays usually. Check out great articles at SteelerNation.com. Tweet us at SteelerNation. Instagram us at SteelerNation.com. Follow the Steeler Nation podcast on Twitter at _SN Podcast, or the Instagram Steeler Nation Podcast, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Steeler Nation Striker, SN Striker. This is my cat. I don't know if you guys can see it in the picture because I don't have the right window up. There it is. Yeah, but my cat's right here. She's rubbing it in on her Bengals making it to the Super Bowl, but she's kind of upset that they lost. I get to rub it in that they didn't win it, but she's always here because I always do the podcast in her room. So thank you guys, obviously, for being part of this podcast. And you guys get the last say, as always. Ian White, who would you pick at corner for us, either draft or free agency? I have not looked at the, for me, I don't really get into who's going to be the best fits in the draft until after the combine, because that's when we get a really good read on who they're going to be. But I'll look at some free agent corners here quickly just to see, because I'm intrigued. I am intrigued to see who's available at cornerback this year. We got Stephen Gilmore, $13 million a season. Joe Hayden, he's projected at 11, but I don't think he's even going to make that. I think we might be able to get Joe Hayden back. I want Hayden back. Kyle Fuller, though he's more of a slot, I thought. Chris Harris, Patrick Peterson's available at $8 million. That's not a bad option, but these guys are all over 30 years old. All of them. I'm trying to see if there's a decent guy under. But you're not going to get interception value out of a whole lot of guys. Except J.C. Jackson had 8 interceptions. That's a guy I'd like to bring in at $3 million. Steven Nelson's available. Desmond King. So he's more of a slot guy. But there's some good options here. Kelly Witherspoon, who I think we're bringing back. I honestly do. And Xavier Rhodes is available. He's a guy I loved when he was drafted. But at least Witherspoon's younger, 26.8. And a guy like J.C. Jackson at 26.2 years of age, just both of them 26 years. Those are the guys I want to bring in that are still kind of young, still have some treading their tires, but he's probably going to get paid out a lot more than that $2 million range, especially since he had 8 interceptions last season. So that's just the way it goes with that. Let's get the other Edmonds brother. Yeah, that's the Edmonds brother I want, not the 2 we have. That's the way, Harris. Sam Robinson, what should we do at inside linebacker position? Pray, Robinson. Pray that Bush gets better and that Schobert takes a pay cut. That's all I can do right now. Steelers forever, Cookster. Thank you, Cookster. Aw, that's great. We'll check out the draft, let you know. Awesome. Have Husky and a Chihuahua. Awesome. I've got a Vizsla puppy upstairs. Unfortunately, it's a nice big brown dog, and she roots for the Browns. So I can't have them and her in the room with the cat at the same time. They just don't get along. And cheers from Gulfport, Mississippi. Love it. All of Steeler Nation chiming in. Catch me over there. We're going to be on the Steeler Nation Spaces at Steeler Nation on Twitter in 20 short minutes. If you guys want to join in and just talk, be part of the fun. I'm going to be opinionated as hell and have fun. But thank you, as always, for joining us on the SteelerNation.com podcast, Vidcast, Steeler Nation Vidcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises, part of the Big Play podcast network over on YouTube. I'm your host, G.Stryker, with my cat Lexi, all you great guys, Cookster, rooting along with you as always. Go